Today, we are going to be looking at lessons learned, and lessons learned in particular from the coronavirus epidemic up to this point. In a moment, I'll be back with you. With every situation, circumstance, or challenge in life, there are lessons to be learned. Good lessons, bad lessons. There are takeaways that must not be ignored. Now, in addressing this issue of the coronavirus, the question I want to ask today is what lessons can we learn from the coronavirus epidemic? What takeaway do we have? What takeaway can we leave the issue of this pandemic with? Guarantee that if there are changes to be made, we will make them. The Boston School of Public Health, the Boston University, that is, School of Public Health, published an article on its website in March, enumerating four lessons that we can learn from the coronavirus. And consider that in mid March, when the Boston University published this paper, the coronavirus had not yet gone anyplace. The government of the United States really had not taken it seriously, from my perspective, that is, at that particular point in time. So the lessons that this article said that we must learn from the situation at that particular point in time in history is number one, that public health is political. The author says that it's difficult to find any discussion about the COVID-19 that does not mention the action of a government. So whether it is the Chinese government and the American government saying that the Chinese government didn't come forward with the information early enough, or it is the American government's handling of the situation in the early stages of the game or during the rest of the pandemic, or whether it is the Italian government, the French government, the German government, or the British government. Public health is a political issue, and no people understand that clearer than we, the people of the United States. Number two, the article says that lesson number two is that science matter. It says, in this age of fake news and alternative facts, it is possible to think science is somehow less relevant than it once was. Denial of climate change and the safety of vaccines are examples of how science can be pushed outside or pushed aside when it conflicts with a political agenda. So at the end of the day, the decisions about any pandemic such as the coronavirus, any disease, anything that threatens the health and safety of a nation, of a community, of a family, of a people, must be examined from the light of science. And we're talking about issues of health now, must be examined from the light of science and not from a matter of someone's feelings or someone's desire, but it must be looked at from that perspective where we are going to see that, okay, this is what the data says, where we are, or government at this particular point in time. And at the time of this recording, we are in the month of April, or at the end of the month of April basically, and we are talking about reopening the country, and some governors have already started the process. And I remember watching the news and one reporter asking our president, okay, the decision that you have made, what do the economists say about your decision to open up? And of course, that's another story for another time. I leave that. So number two is that it must be based on science. Lesson number four, according to the Boston University paper, is that the public must be educated. In other words, health. Disease like the coronavirus is a matter of public education, saying then that if the public is not properly educated, if the information the public receives is not factual, if the pieces of news that are coming across us are limited and are skewed to favor one person's idea or another, then that is dangerous for us as a people, because the decisions that we are going to make matter. We need to know why. If we're going to be practicing distancing, then there must be evidence that says social distancing is relevant. So therefore, the public must be educated when it comes to situations of crisis like what we're dealing with in the coronavirus. Number four lesson they're saying that we should learn is that we should always be talking about public health. In other words, it is not just when a crisis arises, but as was being done to our government for the last 3 years or whatever it has been, there has always been talk about we are due for something disastrous in terms of a virus, a flu that is out of this world, that is novel. And so there must be constant talk about public health. Okay, what are we expecting? What is next? How are we going to prepare ourselves for it? So at the end of the day, with this coronavirus situation, let me add something that is not in that review. At the end of the day, it is God who is in charge. And even though it might seem as if God has abandoned us, we must understand that when science fails, when politicians fail, when educators fail, we must still have something to hold on to. No wonder some church leaders were refusing to close their churches, because lesson number five, as I close out, is that people need something to hold on to when everything else in this life seems to have no value. I want to thank you very much for spending your time with us in this discussion. Remember to subscribe to the channel, to like our video, and to tell your friends about our discussion here on fact, fiction, faith, and favor. God bless you. Until next time.